Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the Montessori way of teaching history, and it's probably not what you think. It's less about memorizing a bunch of dates and a whole lot more about finding your own place in the massive, unfolding story of humanity. So, let me just ask you this. How do you picture time? Seriously, is it like a long road stretching out behind you? A big circle? Or just a random jumble of events? It's a tricky thing to get your head around, right? Now imagine trying to explain that to a kid.
Well, the Montessori method has this really brilliant way of tackling it. To make this huge, abstract idea of history actually make sense, it doesn't begin with ancient civilizations or dinosaurs. Nope, it starts right here, with the child, with you.
And this really gets to the heart of it. This idea from Maria Montessori herself shows that history isn't just another school subject, it's a tool for figuring out who you are. I mean, think about it. If you don't get your own past, how can you really understand your present?
Okay, so what does this look like in a classroom? How do you actually do it? Well, the very first thing you do is connect the idea of the past to something every single child knows inside and out, their own life. It all begins with something super simple but so powerful, a personal timeline. The child actually maps out the big moments of their own life. And just like that, history stops being about dusty old books and starts being their story. The past is now the year I learned how to walk. And that's the real magic of this first step. It takes history from being this big, floaty, abstract idea and makes it something you can touch, something that feels totally real and personal. It becomes an anchor, an emotional and intellectual home base that all the other learning can connect back to.
So once that personal anchor is dropped, the curriculum brings out these incredible tools that literally help the child zoom out from their own life and, well, basically travel through time. Let's take a look at how that works.
It's this really clever, systematic process. You start small, with the kid's own timeline, then you zoom out just a little bit to a class timeline with things everybody experienced, like a field trip or a holiday. And from there, you zoom way out to the giant timelines of life on Earth and all of human civilization.
And this leads to one of the most incredible Montessori materials called the long black strip. Picture a really long ribbon all rolled up, and it's completely black. You start unrolling it and unrolling and unrolling. This represents the mind-boggling age of the Earth. And then at the very, very end, there's this tiny little sliver of color. That's us. That's all of human history. It's just a jaw-dropping way to give a kid a true sense of scale.
Once you have that perspective, everything shifts. The goal isn't just to cram a bunch of facts and dates into that tiny little sliver of human history. The real goal is to connect the child to the amazing stories that happened inside of it. So, history becomes this incredible collection of human stories. We're talking about the story of the first person to figure out fire, or the story of how writing was invented, or these epic stories of civilizations rising and falling. These are the kinds of stories that make you feel genuine awe and respect for what people are capable of.
And this really is the key takeaway. It's not about being able to spit back a date on a test. It's about feeling a real connection to the people who came before us, to appreciate everything they did that got us to where we are today.
There's this great little story about a child who's learning about the invention of the wheel, and they just say, that was long ago, but people still use wheels. And that's it. That's the light bulb moment. They aren't just learning a fact, they're building a bridge from the past right into their own world.
So when you put it all together, what are we really looking at? Let's zoom out one last time and get to the big picture, the main takeaway of this whole approach.
The difference between this and maybe how a lot of us learned history is pretty stark. You go from just memorizing dates to actually finding meaning. You go from a list of isolated facts to these incredible, connected human stories. The past stops being some distant, boring thing and becomes this living, breathing story that you're actually a part of.
When you get right down to it, the goal is pretty profound. It's to help a child see how things change, how humanity makes progress, and maybe most importantly, how the ideas and inventions from way back when are still shaping the world we live in right now.
And that's really the heart of it all. In the Montessori world, history isn't just another subject you have to pass. It is the thing that connects a child to the entire human family. It gives them a sense of belonging in this vast, epic timeline.
So I'll leave you with this to chew on. If we decide that history isn't just a list of dates we have to memorize, what story does it actually tell about us, about who we are and where we might be going?